Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pastor Lynn Harbison, and this afternoon we have two of our former clients, Casey and Kashawna McLamb. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, how you doing?
Kashawna, I'm going to start with you. How long ago was it that you first come to the ministry?
It was December 2015.
So almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Just kind of give everybody a brief synopsis of what brought you all into the ministry at the time. What was your current situation?
Casey had lost his job and we became evicted, so we became homeless. And y'all were the only ministry or organization around that would take a family in.
Instead of just couples.
Right, right, the whole family. And it's you two plus your son, Sawyer, who is...
He's 6 now.
Six
He
now.
was 2.5 when you came.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you had 3 others at the time.
Teenagers.
I know one's out of the house now. She's grown, but you had the 3 teenagers. Wow. If you don't mind, I'd like to elaborate on the situation a little bit too, because sometimes we think God puts us in a position or in a situation for one reason, but it turns out something completely
Totally
different.
different.
So when you all came to the ministry, you weren't married.
No, ma'am.
You weren't married, and you had Sawyer together,
That's right.
That's right.
and things weren't going well.
Not at
Not
all.
just on a financial level, but spiritually as well.
Yeah.
Y'all
Even
were really
family
struggling. You know, you were really struggling with your relationship
too.
with one
Relationship
another,
kids.
with the kids,
Yeah.
but even more so, your relationship with God. So tell us, Casey, when did you begin to understand that it had more to do with that than it did your situation?
I think just coming in and trying to keep an open mind and knowing where we were at financially, spiritually, you know, and that's easy for me to say that for myself because I know where I was, but for her, I knew that she was more spiritually strengthened than I was, and I know I needed to get to that point. And by doing so is being in the Word, being around godly people, being around that structure of the ministry that y'all, that we had going on. I had to submit myself. I had to submit as the head of a household. Say, I got to do the right thing. I got to do this. I got to do that. And, and believe it or not, God actually keeps us in check.
That's right. You said something there when you said before you could be the man of the house, the head of the household,
That's right.
you had to submit first. And with that submission came making things right with God, before God, which
Yeah.
led to you all getting married
That's right.
and making a covenant before God between the two of you.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Kashawna, how did you feel with the kids being put in that situation?
I was angry. I was angry at everybody. I was just very angry. And I didn't want to be there. I just wanted to give up. I was just a very angry person.
And your anger really didn't have anything to do with the current situation, I don't think. I think it was hurts
Hurt
that
my
had come about from your
family.
past, into the situation that you were in. So once you began to evaluate all that and sort out those feelings, you all were able to come together as one.
Unity. Yeah. We had to. And God, I believe that from experience, Kashawna can back me up on this as well as the unity as a family and being it constantly and being in prayer and being taught, and now being able to teach.
Right,
Yeah.
right, amen. Let's talking about unity and coming together. Y'all went through some stuff right shortly thereafter. You were up against the enemy trying to break up your family.
Take the kids away.
With the children.
Take the kids
Their
away.
father was wanting to use the very situation that God put you in to grow
Right.
against you. to say that you weren't fit to take care of your children, when the opposite, you know, it was the exact opposite. What you were doing was what you are supposed to do when it comes to your children and your family.
You know, that actually brings something up, and you said that, Miss Lena, is that in the book of Isaiah, you know, it says, and I'm not sure if this is King James Version, but it's another version, it says, and all the forces of darkness cannot stop what God has ordained. God has ordained us and put that in motion for us to learn a lesson. You know, it just triumphs right over the evil. So, you know, we was able to keep our kids the whole time.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And you
it,
found
it was
out-
hard. Yeah, but you know, it was definitely hard. But you know,
And during that trial, you found out that you can't put your faith and your trust in people. You can't put it in
That's
man.
right.
You can't put it in your family.
Not family.
You have to put it in God's hands
yeah.
and let God.
I think that's where the submission comes from. That's we knew that we actually had to submit ourselves and our family to the point of the flesh and to say, you know, God is in your hands. Do it as you will. And look how everything turned out now.
And Kashawna, I know that was really hard for you, because I found it hard for myself, coming from an abusive relationship in the past, being able to submit to this man.
Yeah, it has
You were
something-
independent. You had to fight for your sanity. You had to fight for yourself and your children. And so now you're in a situation where you're supposed to submit to this man after what you've been through. But when we go to God first and we submit to him and we put our trust and our faith in God, knowing that he puts God first, that you're doing the right thing.
It's easier.
It's a
knowing.
continual process, though.
It is. It really
The enemy's
is.
always going to be there ready to attack. You know, he
Yeah.
wants to, that's his goal, is to divide the family. A house divided cannot stand. All right, well, we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll have more from Casey and Kashawna.